Hello, and welcome to the Success Showcase. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin from the Modern Observer Group. And with me, as always, is Chip Janiszewski from the Happiness and Success GPS. Chip, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Eric. How about you?
Doing fantastic. We're moving into spring. And of course, this is the first podcast we're recording in April, and you've got some big things coming up. You've got a new grandchild on the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I have a wonderful granddaughter who's almost 2 years, 4 months old, and got a grandson coming up later on this month. So very, very excited about that. So, in fact, my son and daughter-in-law yesterday had a welcome. His name's going to be Luca. And they had a welcome party for Luca yesterday, complete with balloons, with baby shark and this and that, and so on and so forth. And of course, Cora thought the party was for her, so she had a good time too.
That's great. So, as we're heading into spring, everybody starts talking about spring cleaning. But quite frankly, spring cleaning can be a lot more than just straightening up the house. And we're going to talk about ways you can use spring cleaning to refresh your business, refresh your personal growth. But first, I want to talk a little bit about why. Why the big deal about spring cleaning? And I've looked into this, and it seems to fall into the same category as New Year's resolutions. People need a trigger to start a new habit, to do something new. And spring cleaning provides that trigger.
Yeah, that's a really good point you make. You hear the term too, spring into action, and here we are.
Yep.
Everybody's starting to get outside again, and so on and so forth. But it's great. I mean, obviously, really, spring is a good excuse, but quarterly, it's not a bad idea to kind of like just examine things. And we always talk about if you're making New Year's resolutions, some of them are just so crazy that they're impossible. But if you chunk anything down into one step-by-step thing that you can claim a victory for every day, that's what it's all about. And you can start that at any time.
Absolutely. And, again, with the spring cleaning, you're talking about leaping into second quarter. It's a good opportunity to take a look at those New Year's goals, New Year's resolutions, see if you've actually kept them, see how far you've come, and make adjustments going, okay, maybe this goal was a little too easy. I should bump that up. Or, okay, judging by first quarter, there's no way I'm going to accomplish all of this year. Let's chunk it down and see what I really need to do.
Yeah. And again, you talk about this time of year being a good time to start something new. And for your business, I mean, if you have taken the time to put together a budget for the year and you chunk it down into quarters and so on and so forth, and as you know, I have a financial background. I used to do this all the time. It's so important. It's not just one and done with the budget. Know at the end of the year what happened. It's really, really important to monitor that on a monthly or a quarterly basis, depending on how large your business is. But there's key things that you have to look at, as far as trends go. And so starting to do that now and getting into a habit of doing that at least quarterly for your business is so important. So, I mean, you set your sales goals and see where your sales are coming from. It's a great time to analyze that very thing, where your sales are coming from, what types of clients, and so on and so forth, and adjust your strategies accordingly. Plus, a lot of businesses are seasonal. So going into the spring, it's really, really important to make sure that you're working towards that. And right now in spring, plan on what you're going to be doing for your summer clients and so on and so forth. So it's just a great habit to get into, to analyze things. And this is a great time to do it because the first quarter just ended last week.
Exactly. We've talked about on previous podcasts how there's so many people, they'll put a business plan together and then it just sits on a shelf. But if you take it down once a quarter, take a look at it, see what it was you'd planned, and make adjustments. This is the time to do that. So you can spring clean your business plan. And we talked about what I call the recipe for success, which is basically just a one-page plan based on a recipe card. And it only takes a little, little time, maybe an hour or two to put together. This is the time to take something like that and refresh it and go, okay, this is what I had planned, but this is what really happened. So let's move forward from where we actually are.
Yeah, and you and I, having met through networking and being networking experts, you should have your business plan, your business recipe for business development, and your business development plan includes things such as your social media and how you're going to be doing things online, but also your networking strategies, analyzing who your best clients are, and so on and so forth. So getting into that, and this is a great time of year when people are getting out to reopen, if you haven't done that, your networks with people that you need to get in touch with, or even start developing maybe a strategic partnership mastermind group or so on and so forth, so that you can work with other businesses and support the same client base and help each other out. So it's really, really time to, do new strategies too.
Absolutely. Again, a spring clean is all about refresh. So it's not just the house. Although yes, you know what? Give the house a good spring cleaning. Give your office a good spring cleaning. And when you look at your desk, think about it as though you're going on vacation. What do you do just before you leave on vacation? Well, you clean off the desk, you make everything neat, you get everything all set so there's nothing waiting for you when you come back. Spring cleaning is the same sort of thing. Go through everything, go through your desk. Don't just put things in piles, actually go through things and say, okay, am I going to need this? Well, this could be reference. Let's file it. Am I going to need this? No, I'm never going to look at this. Throw it out. There's no reason to keep it. But go through everything, because you never know when you're going to come across something that's been sitting on your desk that'll go, oh, this was a great idea and I forgot all about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a great time once you're doing the clean. Again, it's a great time for you to start a process of doing this regularly. And what I'm talking about is, we've talked in the past about being organized and, sorting your mail, basically putting it in stuff you have to act on right now, stuff you're going to act on next week. And then if the rest is sitting around for too long, throwing it out. The same thing with your inbox, your email, and you've covered a whole lot of this stuff in your Biznetics book too. But if you're going to go through the process of cleaning things up, don't make it a one and done thing, because it's just going to happen again. Just think of all the time you're going to save by actually doing this. What you're doing is investing time now to make things happen better. Just the same thing with networking. You think that you're talking with other people and so on and so forth, you're getting no work done, but what you are really doing is building a sales force where they're out there leveraging you while you're not even with them. So that's a time investment too.
Absolutely. Again, this is the time that you should be taking a holistic look at everything you're doing, whether it's organizing your desk, organizing your computer, putting processes in place to say, okay, I don't really want to have to spend an entire week doing this, but if I do it now, and then I do a little bit, every week, every 2 weeks, rather than letting it all sit, this is the time to get that refresh. And that's really the word I would love for our listeners to focus on, is a refresh. You're not reinventing the wheel. You're just cleaning it off, giving it a tune-up.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of analysis, obviously it's really, really important for business to analyze their finances from that expense standpoint. I mean, these are the days where you do set up a lot of recurring charges and automatic transfers, whereas, up until about 10 years ago, we were writing checks for everything. But now everything is happening automatically, and it behooves you to take a really close look at your charge card statements and things going out, and questioning, what's this and what's that. I mean, there may be things that you're paying for right now that you don't need to, or that you didn't even know that you are paying for. So it's really, really important to grab a handle on that and keep a handle on that too. That's when you're doing your quarterly analysis or whatever, it's really, really important to take a look at that side of things. And also, how are you doing collections wise and money coming in? Because a lot of that's happening automatically too. And so you can, things can fall through the cracks there also.
Absolutely. And, talking about finances, we're talking about spring. It's also tax time. So, of course, when you go through your tax documents, this is a good opportunity to see where are you spending your money? What are you putting aside? What are you failing to put aside? And also, if you're a business owner, when you're looking through those tax documents, make sure you know what's deductible, what isn't. Are you tracking those expenses? That's something you should be doing all year long. And I know a lot of people fail to do so. And then when the taxes come around, it's like, oh, okay, so what was this charge? What was that charge? Now's the time to take a look at what you've been doing. And if you're falling short on tracking those expenses, put in a process so that you don't fall short for next year.
Yeah, and if your business is big enough, it's a really, really good idea to connect with either a financial planner, if you're an LLC or so on, or a good CPA to kind of take a look at the tax ramifications of the different things that you're doing out there. It's really, really good to have sound professional advice on this, because otherwise you could be paying a lot more taxes than you should be paying, because there are different things out there that you can do to lower your taxes by the way you do things. And that's what those people are there for, your financial planners and your CPAs, to help you out with that stuff.
Absolutely. If you are not a numbers geek, and let's face it, 90% of us aren't, have a bookkeeper go through your books, have an accountant go through your books, have an expert. I know a lot of business people go, well, I can't really afford it. But if you look at the time you're spending on it, they will do it a lot faster and a lot better than you, because they've got the process down. They know what they're doing. They're the expert. So it'll end up actually, when you factor in your time, costing you a lot less than you think it will.
Yeah, and they'll be able to put you on a program if you need one, so that you can make sure you're doing things right, moving ahead.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little about getting organized, because that's a big part of what everybody pictures as spring cleaning. It's getting into the garage, getting into the closets. You want to get your physical space organized, but you also want to organize your mental space. Are you leaving time in your schedule for the things you want to do?
Absolutely. I mean, on the collections side of things, this is a really, really good time of year. Is if you are going through cleaning out the house, looking for charitable organizations that are holding things like clothing drive collections or book collections and so on and so forth. It's a great opportunity for you to do that. I mean, I just did that for my church this past week, because we couldn't have our book drive the last 2 years because of COVID. And they opened up the doors for collections Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock, and there were a whole bunch of people there. And I had my carton that I almost strained myself getting out. I mean, there's so many great causes out there that you can donate things to for your items in the house. And then as far as your own self goes, we both talk a whole lot about the importance of a personal strategic plan for all parts of your life. And it's nothing more than just writing down what your goals are, what you'd like to see health wise, personal development wise, for profession, your finances, relationships, philanthropy, giving back, and so on and so forth. And it's really, really important, just to get this going, to just write these things down on paper. I recommend actually writing them down in a spreadsheet, just all these things that you'd like to happen. And if you put them in a spreadsheet and just add a column for what it fits into, health, finances, and so on and so forth, you can sort them out later. But for those of you who are thinking all over the place, like yours truly is all the time, it's great to just write down ideas, and you can organize them by doing that. But it's so important to be working on that person in the mirror. It's just not the job, and it's just not looking around the house and saying, I got to clean the house. It's really, if you plan ahead of time, things are going to run a lot better for you, and you're going to feel a whole lot better too, because you have a handle on things and you're achieving things.
Absolutely. And talking about cleaning things out, it's not all about activity. You also have to take time to clear the cobwebs out of your head. If you can, take a vacation or plan a vacation if you can take one later in the year. But do something that's just relaxing. Take a day trip, go somewhere. Take at least a day to go, all right, you know what? I'm not going to worry about work. I'm not going to worry about everything that's going on. I'm just going to take the time to relax. People do not realize how detrimental it is to be going full steam 24/7. You need to take the time to step back. And if you do this before you start your spring cleaning, you'll be amazed at when you take a look at things, you've got a different perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to put time out into your day, whether it's, a little meditation practice or a walk or this or that. It's so important to do that. And if you want to see exactly how you are doing, you also have this in your calendar too, Eric. Take a little log for a week. Just write down everything you've done during the day and how much time you spent doing it, and see how much time. It's really important to record how much time you put into this. And you're going to see patterns there of productivity, of wasting time, and so on and so forth. And what you can do as far as part of the spring cleaning type thing is to put emphasis on the things you need to prioritize more, and to basically slow down on the things or get rid of the things that you are doing, or delegate out things where you're wasting time yourself.
Absolutely. The basis of time management is understanding how you're already spending your time. Time management isn't really about managing time, it's about managing yourself. So if you understand where you're spending time, how much time you're spending on certain things, track it. See what you're doing. How much time are you really spending working? How much time are you spending flipping through Facebook just mindlessly? When you understand how you're spending time, you can manage it better. And again, give yourself that clean sweep. Go, all right, you know what? I'm not going to judge any of this. I'm just going to see where it takes me. And that's very important. When you're going through, whether it's cleaning out the garage, whether it's, putting together a time management process, whether it's, straightening your desk or going through, your work, you need to make this a no judgment zone. You can't be saying, oh, I should have done this 3 months ago. Oh, this has been sitting here. I should have acted on this. Don't judge. It is what it is, and move forward with that clean slate.
Yeah, absolutely. All we have is the present moment. We talk about that all the time. But if you're not doing this on a daily basis, you should also put together some personal development time. I'm talking about reading. I'm talking about exercise. I'm talking about whatever you want to do, but you have to be working on developing yourself professionally and personally. And so it's a really great idea to just research. Again, if we're talking about your personal strategic plan, what are the things that you are interested in? What would you like to learn more about? On the business side of things, where are you wasting all your time? Where would you like to learn how to get more efficient here and there? Just identify things. And if you can just take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, a half an hour a day, sometime during the day, to just read something, to work on something, it is so important to do that.
Absolutely. And that's something else that people go, oh, I don't have enough time. It doesn't matter how much time you're doing it, as long as you're doing it. Everybody has the time to read a page. And if you do that, that's 1 page more than you read yesterday. Try to read, 2 or 3 pages. If you're listening to audiobooks, you'd be amazed at some of the books that are out there that really don't take that long to listen to. I set a challenge for myself this year. I'm trying to read or listen to 100 books over the course of the year. So right now I'm just slightly behind. I'm at 24 books. Given that it's the end of the quarter, I should have been at 25. But I'm mixing up those books because one, putting some novels in, putting some classic books in, there are some of them are a little longer, but I find them very relaxing. So that's sort of me time. But I'm also learning new things, and I'm listening to books that I've heard before or read before, but I'm listening to them with a new sort of attention. Like we've talked about the 1 Minute Manager. I listened to that the other day. If you listen to it at normal speed, the whole thing only takes a little over 2 hours. So it's not that time consuming once you look into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, there's podcasts out there now. Obviously, I think you know a little bit about those because you got so many of those going on. But there's so many subjects out there. And again, if you just write down what your interests are and so on and so forth, and you put it in your daily calendar that you are going to do for half an hour a day, doing that. I mean, if you read for half an hour a day, you'll probably read 20, 30 pages. And that's 6,000, 7,000 pages a year. How many books is that if you're just reading that
Right.
few pages a day, or if you're listening to a book on Audible? Again, that's you're looking at just 100 books a year, which is just absolutely amazing. And you've heard me use this before in my presentations, but I've been listening to things in my car all the time. For those of you who drive a lot, I call my car driver's ed, because my real name is Edward Joseph Janiszewski Jr. But the amount of personal development things and professional development things that I have listened to in my car over the years, people ask me what degrees I have. I still just have my bachelor's of science in accounting, but I have a whole lot of masters in a whole lot of different things just by listening to things in the car. And that's really helped me develop into what I do today, because you really can't take courses on happiness and success. You're pulling that in from all over the place and putting 2 + 2 together. And I'm just teaching people, making people aware of what it is. It's things that they already know and things that I did too. But by listening to them and writing them down and now teaching them, it's been amazing. And everybody out there has the ability to do that too. But if you just work on yourself. And I like your idea of, instead of just listening to all business stuff all the time, put those novels in. And I know you have a lot of different interests too, and so do other people. Write them down, put that into your daily routine. The book doesn't have to be business or self-improvement. It can just be for relaxation.
Absolutely. And again, that's, the whole idea behind the spring cleaning is to give yourself that new start. So whether you start reading new things or doing things a different way, the idea is clear out the cobwebs, clear out the clutter. By nature, we tend to collect things. And usually when we hold on to something, it's with the statement, I'll get to this later. Well, you know what? Sometimes later doesn't come. And if it sits there too long, you need to go, you know what? Let it go. I'm not going to get to it. That's fine. Let's get rid of that and move on. We all tend to weigh ourselves down with baggage, physical, emotional. The spring cleaning is the time to get rid of the baggage. If it's something that's going to be useful to you, hang on to that, file it, keep it somewhere. But if it's something you're never going to get to, if it's something that just reminds you, oh, I should have done, spring cleaning is time to get rid of it. It's make yourself light.
Absolutely. So this is absolutely perfect time of the year to start something new and doing that. One last thing on the business side, which I think we forgot to bring up, but this is something that you especially make sure that people do, is to take a look at your social media and your website and so on and so forth. That's analyze that as part of how you're running your business, but also part of what your business promotion package is out there too. So why don't you talk a little bit about what people can do with that, especially again, if you have seasonal businesses and so on.
Absolutely. It's a time to take a look at what has worked and what hasn't worked. And something that people have to remember about social media is that the algorithms behind the scenes change. So just because something worked 6 months ago doesn't mean it's going to be working now. giving your social media spring cleaning, it's a great chance to go, all right, you know what? I've been posting in this group and that group. I haven't gotten any responses from this one, but I'm doing well in that one. Well, let's do more with the one that works. It goes back to the 80-20 rule. You should be spending 80% of your time on the 20% of social media that's actually generating results. So for your spring cleaning, take a look at what you've been doing. Are you on every social media? Do you need to be? Cut back and see what, to just what's working. And then you can expand back out when you make changes. Come up with new campaigns, new focuses. When you're doing social media promotion, you should have a theme in mind. Well, spring cleaning is a great time to change that theme and give it a refresh. So again, and it's the same thing with your networking commercial, your introduction, your elevator pitch. Give everything a refresh. You've got a new season. Spring is the time of rebirth. Let's all have all of these communications reborn. Create that new image.
Absolutely. Yeah, when you're doing your networking commercials, it's a good idea to have a few of them and track your results. See how people respond to those. So
absolutely. So again, as I said at the beginning, people need a trigger to create a new habit, or they need some sort of boost to get things moving. The spring cleaning can be that boost for right now. We always talk about the New Year's resolutions, but now we're into the year, we're one quarter in. Take a look at what you said you were going to do. Did you do it? Are you doing it? If not, it's time for a refresh. So we're just about out of our time. So Chip, what do you think is the big takeaway for our listeners this week?
I love the trigger analogy because it's apropos for now and for the whole year. But on the business side of things, you're analyzing, you're strategizing. Same thing on the personal side of things. The business spring cleaning is getting rid of your business clutter and your bad strategies and so on and so forth. On the personal side, get rid of your personal baggage. You're outside in the yard cleaning up the yard and so on and so forth. So what you need to do is start this new habit in the yard. After you get rid of all the stuff in the grass or whatever, you're going to fertilize it, you're going to water it, and you're going to watch it grow. The same thing with your business. Basically analyze, come up with new things that you want to do, and you're fertilizing there and watching it grow means monitoring it, because you have to continue to do that. So it's an ongoing process, and a great time to do that is to start right now. Trigger.
Exactly. And I love that you just said you're setting things up to grow. That's part of that spring cleaning process. It's planting those seeds to see them grow. So it's time to get rid of the clutter, whether it's physical clutter in your house, organizational clutter in your business, or just things cluttering up your mind and taking the chance to relax. Now is the time to do that spring cleaning, get yourself in a new mindset, and set yourself up for growth. That's what spring's all about. And of course, when you're setting yourself up for growth, don't forget to go to xvadio.com/contest and enter to win some of the great books that are put together by our podcast hosts and guests. We talked about reading more and personal growth. These are great books. So go join us and celebrate our podcast growth. You've been listening to the Success Showcase. You can catch us every week at xvadio.com/podcasts. You can also find us on the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Audible, Amazon Music, and wherever you find podcasts. Remember, make this your best week ever and make next week even better. We'll see you then.